Hey, it's Tim.
And it's Amy from GoWithLess. We're glad you're here. In this video, we're going to be sharing all about our fourth quarter numbers and where we've been for the last 3 months of 2022. We hope you watch the whole video.
We used to put out a video every week, and then we moved to every month, and then we moved to whenever. And then we had I guess an incident that happened a few months ago. I got some news, and we'll share that with you here as we get on with the video, that derailed us even further. So we haven't had anything come out in a while, and so this is hopefully going to give you a catch up on what's going on with us, and specifically with our spending. We want to share with you where we are to not completely wrap up our year. We're going to do another video about that, but this is going to give you what happened in the last quarter of the year in terms of our spending.
Yes. So let's start with where we were in the last 3 quarters. So we started October 1st flying into Charleston and Charlotte, North Carolina, South Carolina. We were visiting my family there and did a little holiday in Charleston. So just a short little trip to spend time with family. Then we went to Denver for close to a week. Again, saw our boys, our 2 sons, and saw a lot of friends, got my annual haircut, a whole bunch of doctor's appointments, and then we got to San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, which I may call SMA in this video to make it shorter, and that was on October the 12th, and we were planning to be there all the way until January the 7th, when we were going to be heading to another continent, but that was all derailed when Tim got some very big news on November the 3rd.
Yeah, so I got the awful news that my mom had passed away on November the 3rd, and we had to go back to Texas. I'm her only child, and so and the executor of her will, and so we had to go back and sort of manage all that would come with a loved one passing away. And so and it's still not complete, certainly all the things that have to be done. We spent 2 full months in Texas working on her estate, having a funeral, so it was a phenomenal amount of work. And in the middle of that, we actually had to go to Colorado briefly. We did this over the Thanksgiving weekend to deal with something that happened. As soon as we got to Mexico, we found out that our safety deposit box was closing in Denver. So we had literally been there just a few days before. As soon as we showed up in Mexico, they told us our safe deposit box was closing. So
come get your
stuff. Otherwise, it's going to go into Never Never Land and be a mess. And so we managed to do that in the middle of our trip to Texas. We also went to Colorado briefly to deal with that disaster.
Yes, and Tim's mother passed away very, very suddenly, so it wasn't like we had any preparation or anything. And here we were on a house sit, so we had to take care of the responsibility of the pets, specifically a home, but really the pets. We couldn't just leave, so we were able to cobble together 3 different house-sitting entities, couples and a solo woman, who were able to take over for us for the, 4 or 5 weeks that we weren't able to complete our sit. And so we got the call on a Thursday night at about 7 o'clock, and 10 in the morning the next day we were on our way to the airport. Now, in order to make that happen, we had to schedule an international flight. We had to schedule all this house sitting coverage. We had to do the laundry, our sheets and towels, make up the whole house like it was fresh. And then we also left behind our 2 main bags, 1 main bag each, thinking we weren't going to be going for so long. We thought we might be back in a few weeks. It turns out that we needed 2 entire months there. There's a lot to do. Again, as Tim mentioned, he's her only child. So there was an enormous amount of work, and now we have done things with our own estate to do better, right?
Yeah, we hope. And so I think with all this, we learned a lot in the course of this 2 months, and there's always more to learn with these situations. But yeah, we tried to make some things better for our heirs and our estate whenever ultimately our time comes. Hopefully it's easier for the people that are there to deal with our situation.
And for anyone who's offering like, oh, you could have done this with your safe deposit box, we did not want to fly from Mexico to Denver. We had actually booked an original flight from Mexico to Denver. We did not want to do that. This was the only option. So all of the options presented were very poor. We didn't have anyone else on that safe deposit box. So if anyone's like, oh, you could have done XYZ, we exhaustively researched absolutely everything, and this was really the only thing that we could do.
I actually had a plan and I had purchased a ticket to go round trip to Denver alone and deal with that, and we'll talk about this also. We ultimately flushed that ticket down the toilet.
That's right. Okay, so while we were in East Texas working on Tim's mom's home and affairs, we finished at the very tail end of December on the 29th. Now, there was another unfortunate death in my family, and we had to head to a funeral. So the last 2 days of the year, we were traveling around America visiting my family. And then we made our way to San Miguel on December 31st. It took an entire day of travel. We got to our hotel at 11:15 in the evening on New Year's Eve. And SMA does holidays big. And Tim had said, I'm really pooped. I don't want to go out for New Year's. I said, dude, you are going to need to rally for 1 hour. We didn't get a Christmas. We just worked all the way through Christmas. I said, we didn't get any holidays. Like, I really want to turn the page. It's going to be very cathartic to see this like great celebration that SMA is going to do, and just to feel like we just put that chapter behind us, and now we can move ahead into a good new year.
Yeah, and
it was amazing.
I wouldn't say that I rallied, but I did show up. So.
And it was only 1 hour. It was 1 hour of, and again, if you're in San Miguel, if there's any fireworks, get your butt to the Jardín, to the Parroquia.
Every day,
but not this grand.
Not this
so
grand.
Christmas,
okay.
Tree lighting, New Year's, these are grand fireworks, and they do it right.
Yes,
right?
they do.
Okay, so let's talk about our spending. Let's get right
talk
into
about
it.
Our spending.
So category number 1 is going to be
just a reminder, this is for 3 months.
3 months, yes. And we're going to be, another reminder is we are not talking about every single penny that we've spent. We're talking about like big ticket items we're pulling out. So if you're like, this doesn't add up to the total, yeah, we know that. That's not a mistake. So, okay, number 1 is health and personal care, $3,880. $615 of that was for our IMG Global Silver plan. We have a whole video about that. We didn't file a single claim in 2022, so we don't know how the service was, but we do know that we have already renewed it, and we're hoping, we know others who have used it and filed claims and have been happy with it, so we're sticking with that.
Yes, we are. So next we're going to talk about some vaccinations that we got while we were in Texas. We got the COVID vaccine, the booster, that was free. We also got Hep B, which hopefully is good for the remainder of our lives, and typhoid, which we believe is good for. We got the pills for typhoid, which is going to be good for 5 years, as our understanding. The total for all those vaccines was $755. So that's a big ouch.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about that quite a bit here.
Sure.
Okay, so we could have got, we're in Asia right now, by the way. We should mention we're in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We're in a beautiful hotel room, which you see behind us. We're here for a whole month with the whole GoWithLess. Maybe 30 of us have come purposefully to Kuala Lumpur to enjoy social time, and it has been fantastic. We've been here for about a half week. So we decided, and we had just come from Bangkok, so we decided to not be super cheap on this. We could have come and got our vaccines when we were in Asia, but we decided to spend, there are a lot of things that we like, let's just spend the money on this. We don't want to be super cheap on things that really matter, and our health is very important to us. So the reason why we did this in the US is because we could pick our vaccine. So the we already had Hep A, and it lasts forever. Hep B also lasts forever, as Tim mentioned, and we wanted the 2-shot dose. You could get a 3-shot dose that takes 6 months, and that is kind of a little tricky with our lifestyle. So we wanted the 2-shot dose that would get us fully vaccinated against Hep B before we even got to Asia. So that was quite a bit of money, and we were very happy to do that. That was over $500 of this $755 was just Hep B. Then next is typhoid, and we really wanted that because we do street food, and it's recommended for this area. And we wanted there was a shot that's for 2 months, or pills that is for 5 years, and the pills were each about $100 per person. And so we wanted what we wanted, and we paid a premium for that, and we wanted to be fully vaccinated against this as best as possible. By the time we walked into the country, we didn't want to be doing this in the middle of our trip and have been exposed to it for the week before or two before we got the test, the vax, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, now the next one is, and this isn't in any particular financial order, but this is the biggest expense of the quarter, and that is a CPAP machine for me. So this is $1,066 for a CPAP machine. That is, I have a very narrow neck, and my cousin is a sleep doctor. He looked at me and said, your tongue is situated in a way that's going to make it very hard for you to breathe, no matter what your weight is. So I said, it might be helpful if I lose weight. He said, it'll be very hard for you to lose weight with this situation unchecked. So it was very actually hard for me to spend this kind of money. I did get a very small little travel one because of our situation. I know that you can bring it separately in a separate bag, but it's very important to me that I only have 2 bags when I'm traveling, my big bag and my backpack. Having a third bag is just too many things to keep track of.
Yeah, and so this was, I guess, one of the side benefits of being back in the States is Amy had access to get this. If we were in Mexico, I think we would have had a hard time purchasing this thing.
Or anywhere else.
And she's still trying to manage making this thing work in her life, so this is, but glad we have it, and hopefully it's going to add years to her life having this in the mix. So
I sure hope so. So it's really hard to get used to it. I only can use it for like 2 hours a night, so I need to use it soundly for like 8 hours a night, and I'm working on that very hard. Okay. $179 was in SMA. We back in Guadalajara last February, March, we did a whole bunch of like medical things at a clinic. It's really cool in Mexico. Our experience is that you just walk in and you get what you want. You don't have to have doctor's orders or anything of that sort, because like we have had in the United States, and it's much more affordable. So there's a place called Chopo, and unfortunately I did have to go twice. I waited 3 hours each time, so it wasn't the best experience, but it was really cheap.
And Chopo, we believe, is a nationwide chain. So
we only know it from Mexico's SMA.
I think it was also in Guadalajara.
Oh, okay. We did something different in Guadalajara. Okay. But I ended up getting a full blood work panel for my physical that I was going to be getting there. And then I also got a mammogram and an ultrasound. And because I got it in the month of October, I had like a 30% off breast cancer awareness special. So that entire thing with all my blood work, mammogram, and an ultrasound was $179. You also had some blood work in that period. Yeah, that you actually sent back to your Denver doctor.
Yeah,
right?
So I had blood work done in Mexico that I shared with my Denver doctor since we were back in the States, and had them sort of I had a televisit with the Denver doctor, and they went through the results with me and talked about things I might need to do. Also,
was it a problem because it was in Spanish?
No, they had no problem. So I think the terminology is close enough that it just worked for them, and the results are maybe this is an international standard, some of this stuff, but they didn't seem to have any issue reading the results that I had from Mexico in Spanish. So that was great. Also, when we were in the States, I had a call. I signed up for some blood pressure meds when we were back in Colorado. I had the same televisit. I also changed my blood pressure medication with my televisit with my doctor. So that was another $100. I don't know if
actually it is in the next thing I'm going to talk about. Okay. So there's $756 of all kinds of doctors in both SMA and in Denver. So when we were in Denver, I saw like my annual gynecology visit. Tim, he had his regular doctor visit, and then he had a televisit, and then we keep having. I should mention I think I scratched myself on my nose. So if you're like, what the heck is on Amy's nose that's bleeding? I think I scratched it, and it's like not really clotting. So anyway, so we have been to the dermatologist. He has been to the dermatologist quite a bit. So when we were back in, I think we talked about it in our September numbers, that we had a very expensive dermatology appointment at our September stop in Washington, D.C. We both had a biopsy done of something suspicious. And on mine, they said, you need this frozen off, something little on my chest. And they said it's going to cost something like, with a doctor's visit and the freezing off, like $350. Well, I found a very good doctor in SMA, a dermatologist. She saw just the one spot. She didn't do a full checkup. I had just had all that done. So she just froze off the spot for me, $75. And while Tim was there, he just kind of piggybacked onto mine, and he had something frozen off on his.
I think she charges $25.
Like it was like just part of mine. So yeah, and it was done in cash. So we find that doctors, I also had, I had 2 appointments with a GP. She is from North Carolina. Her native language is English. So it was really, really helpful. But we had a 60-minute conversation, both of us, with her, where she talked with us about vaccinations. She's the one who kind of said, here's what I want you to get, all your blood tests. I came and saw her again in January, so it'll be in those January numbers. And Tim kind of sat into my appointment. We like to do that for each other, just to have another set of ears in the room. But it was really, really terrific. So we had, and we're going to talk about stuff. We were back in SMA in January. So we have some things coming up in Mexico in our January numbers. But anyway, the 756 for us is just all kinds of random doctors. The majority of the expense, though, was in the U.S.
That's right.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, one more time, we'll talk about, we spent $3,880 for October, November, December of 2022 in health and personal care.
And some things that aren't in here is our haircuts. My haircut was like about $100, and I just get that like once a year. So haircuts, we had $25 massages in SMA, and I had them done every week. We joined a gym, things like that. We're not going to break that out.
So our second largest category for Q4 of 2022 is going to be food. We spent $3,154 in this category. $1,707 of that was in dining, and $1,447 was groceries.
And there's nothing even notable to be mentioning about any of these purchases. It wasn't like we went out to fancy meals or anything. It was just normal dining out, normal groceries, but the cost of these things, we were in the United States for all but 3 weeks. And so that is reflecting the much higher cost of food and dining in the US. And it's shocking.
Yeah, it certainly
It's
is.
shocking.
Yeah.
That leads us to category number 3, transportation. That was $2,558. Tim found a great deal with an Amex offer on a Norwegian cruise line cruise. So we are coming back from Europe to the United States on another ship on Norwegian. Now what he found was pay $1,000. We found it on 2 of our cards. Pay $1,000, get $350 statement credit back. So $350 free dollars. And what that means is we have a spending in this category, $842, and that is for the full cost of our cruise, half of it. The other half goes in accommodations. We like to split half in transportation, half in accommodations. That just keeps it simple. Now, just a little note, before we had paid off this cruise, this is obviously a quarterly thing, so we had made this $2,000 payment on our cruise, and there was still a little bit outstanding. So we called the American Express Cruise Department. I don't know if anyone is able to work with them, but because we do hold American Express Platinum cards each, we were able to work with them. And what they did is they took a cruise that was not paid off all the way. They kind of took it into their department, and we paid it off with them immediately. They gave us $100 of free onboard credit, as well as free specialty dining each in one of the restaurants. And that was something we weren't getting by doing it directly with Norwegian. We've booked several cruises with Vacations to Go. We didn't get anything with them, so we were really happy with Amex Cruising, and I think we're going to be doing something similar. We'll book with the cruise line to start, and then have Amex kind of move it over, because we do like to get the deals with the cruise line and lock in the price. What we're told, though, is that the Amex Cruise Department can match prices, but sometimes these Amex offers, they need to code, like if you're doing a Norwegian cruise, it needs to be coded Norwegian. So we want to make sure that it's not coded as American Express, that it's coded as Norwegian.
That's right. So another expense.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Hopefully. So there's another expense in this category, $330, that I had purchased a ticket to go from Mexico up to Denver to deal with our safety deposit box, like we mentioned earlier. I think that's going to be flushed down the toilet.
For sure.
They did offer us something like we can, if we basically rebook the same itinerary, maybe be for free, but we have no.
We didn't have any
no
plans to have the itinerary.
So there's that. And then also we spent $388. So that flight was $330. We also spent $388 on 2 different rental cars. So there's that.
In Denver, all in Denver. And then we had miscellaneous. The rest of it was flights in Asia, taxes on flights all over, checked bags, Ubers. We had to pay to get to and from SMA, which is, I don't know, at least $150.
So I have something about, so we've said before, when if food is our largest expense category, then we feel like we're living our best life. As I'm looking at this, I think that transportation is also a place. If we're spending a lot in transportation, that means we're moving and doing things that we want to be doing. So I kind of like that this is a bigger chunk of our spending as well, because it means we're moving, which is something that we want to be doing with our nomadic lifestyle.
Accommodation, $2,258. Now that's $842 is the balance of that cruise. Our storage unit for 3 full months is $321. We had 4 credit cards. 3 of them were hotel cards renew, which is why we put it in accommodations. So that's $263 for 4 cards. Okay, and then we prepaid for a whole bunch of our hotels for 2023 in Asia, $580 prepaying per Asian hotel. It's shopping. That is $1,407. The lion's share of that, we had $800 in clothing. Most of that, like $650 at least, was for funeral clothing. So as nomads, we don't carry around formal kinds of clothing, so we don't have shoes or outfits for his mother's funeral. And the thing also is that we had to get this, we had like 3 hours to do the entire thing, so we didn't have time to shop around and get coupons and all of that. We just needed to get clothes for the funeral immediately. And so Tim had a really sharp looking sports jacket, but he needed a nice white shirt that he just left behind at our last stop, nice shoes, a belt, like he really, everything but socks and underwear.
Slacks,
yeah, socks and underwear. And I needed a dress, I needed shoes, so we both needed that. And that was really for, actually we used it for both funerals though.
Yeah.
So we did use it twice. And now I think maybe we'll use some of that on the cruise that we have 2 cruises coming up. Maybe you'll use the sports jacket
Possibly.
for that.
I've been
Looks
toting
really
it
nice.
around, so it's really difficult. I have to wear my sports jacket when we get on a plane, so I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt and my sports jacket, so I look a little goofy, but there you have it. It just comes...
Otherwise it'll be all wrinkled.
That's right.
Yeah.
So.
And then it was very, very chilly in Texas. So when we got there, it was like 85 degrees and very humid and very hot. But as we were there for more time, it did get to be in the single digits, and we needed some warm clothes. I don't think you did warm clothes, but I did need some. I had like everything like I'm wearing here for Southeast Asia is what I had, and it's because I had brought so little clothing. So I needed to get some sweaters and jeans and things for socks. I didn't have any socks. Well, in 5 degrees, you need some socks.
There you go.
Yeah.
I also upgraded my cell phone when we were in Texas, so I had a Pixel 6, which drives me nuts because of the fingerprint sensor. I upgraded to a Pixel 7, and with the upgrade process and some deals that were going on with Google, I bought it directly through Google. It only cost me $189 to make that upgrade happen. So
happy Tim.
I'm a happy. Yeah, exactly. This new phone, I like it a lot better than my 6, and so I'm pretty happy with this purchase. And then we also we found some good deals, strangely through what were these Amex offers? Was it Amex offers? It was Amex offers through Kohl's, and we had not Amex offers. It was actually Chase offers that through Kohl's, where we got $20 back on a $100 purchase, and so we loaded up with some Amazon credit, and that ended up costing us $381. And we have
for the future.
For the future, so that's all loaded up to Amazon and just sitting there waiting for us to spend it sometime in the future.
You found all kinds of good gift card deals at the end of the year.
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah.
So we took advantage of pretty much every one of those.
Yep.
Which leads us to category number 6, miscellaneous, $590. $400 was for gifts, and then as Tim mentioned, the safety deposit box. So our bank said, we're closing this bank branch, you need to come and get your stuff, and they gave us a credit for the unused time we didn't use, and then a key deposit return, like we returned our key, so they gave our deposit back. And then we had to pay for a private company to hold our box, which was more expensive. So that is the balance of miscellaneous, was our safety deposit box.
Yep.
Boo.
Boo.
Okay, category number 7, I think, is going to be internet and phone. And that is exactly what it sounds like. We did start off with SIM cards, Telcel in Mexico, but that is a majority of Google Fi in the United States. So we find that our cell service around the world, we've had now SIM cards this past year in Mexico, the UK, Spain, and we're finding the going rate is about $10 a person a month for quite a bit of data. Really, really cheap. Our service in the US is over $40 a person a month. Ouch. Tim uses Mint Mobile. I use Google Fi. I will
Which
put
is
up a
not
video
$40
here.
a month. Mint Mobile works
Mint
out
Mobile
to
is
be
much
about
cheaper.
less than $20 a month.
But my Google Fi is at least $40 a month. That gets a big ouch when I'm used to $10 everywhere else. So that was $206. And then category number 8 is entertainment, $188.
Yep, $188. So this was streaming and newspapers and things like this, as well as some great things that we did while we were in Kilgore. We saw a play, which was exciting at Kilgore College. We also saw the Rangerettes perform at Kilgore College. Not just the Rangerettes, but it's a seasonal Christmas extravaganza, and the Rangerettes happened to be the lead characters, I guess, in this extravaganza, and Amy was thrilled to see them.
So
they did great. So the Rangerettes, if you don't know anything about them, they're a
kick line?
A kick line, I guess is what you call it. I don't know.
Like the Rockettes.
I'm gonna. This is
like
the Rockettes.
Like the Radio City Music Rockettes.
That's right. And they're phenomenal. And these are young women. They're 18, 19,
so
20
athletic.
Years old. And they
so
do
talented.
great stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So everywhere. So for the past, since I've been with Tim for an eternity, anyone he says I'm from Kilgore, like, oh, the Rangerettes. Like, who has ever heard of the Rangerettes? Well, it turns out a lot of people have. So I was really excited that they were doing their 2-show only for the holidays extravaganza, as Jim mentioned, and it was really, really fun. So that was something I was thrilled to finally check out, and I could see what all the fuss is about. I loved it, and I am now a Rangerettes fan.
Awesome.
Love them.
So category number 9 is going to be taxes. We spent $41 in this category for the month, and that was just a purchase of TurboTax. So we still haven't paid any federal taxes. We didn't pay any federal taxes in Q4, so this was the only expense in this quarter for that category.
That brings our quarterly spend to $14,282. Now, in our next video, we're going to be talking about not only where we spent time, how many nights house sitting, how many nights in hotels, Airbnbs, and all of that, but we're going to do a conversation about how much we spent and how did we do against our $48,000 budget. If you're really dying to know, you can go back and look at every one of our videos and add it all up. We will be spoon feeding that to you in the next video, and it will not be that long, we promise. And we do want to do a little teaser that we're going to be talking about our 2023 plans, not just our travel plans, but we have some major news coming up. So do make sure to subscribe. Look out for that. We're going to leave you with that teaser. Hasta luego.
Adios.